Welcome to In the Know with the Stafford SO, a podcast presented by the Stafford County Sheriff's Office in Virginia that brings you the stories of the men and women who work tirelessly to keep our community safe each day. With In the Know with the Stafford SO, you'll find out what life is really like behind the law enforcement badge. Thank you for listening and thank you for your support.
Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Know with the Stafford SO. I am Kathy Volbrecht, your host. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to talk about National Crime Victims' Rights Week, which is April 18th through the 24th. The goal of that week is to promote community-wide awareness of the rights and available services for victims of all types of crimes. And unfortunately, one of the crimes that we've been seeing more of, especially during this pandemic, are scams. It's unbelievable to think that there are people actually out there who want to take advantage of others during this very difficult time for all of us. And here to tell us more about scams and how we can prevent them from happening and prevent ourselves from becoming victims is Deputy Stephen Curtis with the Stafford Sheriff's Office Crime Prevention Unit. Deputy Curtis, thank you for coming to the podcast.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's go ahead and get into this. Why do you think we're seeing such an increase in these scams during this worldwide emergency of COVID-19?
Well, the sad thing is that even during a pandemic like this, when people are very vulnerable, there's always people out there that will try to take advantage of that vulnerability, especially when it comes to scams, because people are so isolated, not really in touch with one another, except for very limited occasions. Scams are kind of the go-to for that vulnerability in the sense that when people are, using phone calls to contact members of the community and try to defraud them of money, gift cards, what have you, it's not like, it's very rare that they can turn to their neighbor and be like, hey, does this sound suspicious to you? So because everyone's so isolated, it actually makes it very, very easy for them to find those people and, call them up where they can't really turn for help. Or they feel like they can't turn for help, and then use them and their vulnerability to try and make a profit.
Now, I've heard that there are scams going on right now with the Paycheck Protection Program, unemployment insurance. What are some of the more common scams that you're seeing here in Stafford?
So here locally in Stafford, some of the big ones we're seeing, actually just nationwide, the biggest one is when you get a email, usually either email, phone call, where it's someone that either it's, we've had ones for schools, teachers, where a principal, where it seems like it's their email, it'll be, such and such principal at the email for the school, and maybe one letter will be off. So they find kind of public emails, especially for employers, businesses, companies, schools, things like that. And they will send out an email to everyone they can associated and say, usually, hey, I'm in a meeting. Can you help me? It makes it seem very urgent, makes it seem like you're the only one that can help them. And they'll target people that want to obviously, such as schools, teachers that want to help their principal out. And they'll say, hey, can you go and, get X amount of gift cards for me to use? I'm in this meeting. I can't step away. You're the only person I can go to. So it kind of preys on people wanting to, help a coworker out, help someone out like that. It targets them to try and make it seem urgent. And of course, when you go in to get the gift cards, you say, hey, is this good? Is this enough? The second you send those gift card numbers, they say, no, I need a little bit more, I promise I'll pay you back. So one of the ones that's probably, I think, the number one we've seen, especially around businesses and people who have companies that have their emails kind of out there publicly, where they'll just kind of prey on that need right there. The other big one is a lot of the things that we've seen is power companies. People calling and saying they're from Dominion Energy or just even a random power company you might never heard of. And they will automatically say you are getting ready to have your electricity, your power turned off, regardless of whether it's even your power company or who you use, and whether or not you are, on top of your bills every single month, no issues, you've never gotten a call, anything or otherwise. They will keep stressing that urgency. No, there's no, confusion, no misconception. Your power is about to be shut off unless you pay us this much money, either through wire transfer or, again, gift cards. That one is just, they prey on that urgency. It's people that, typically with COVID are by themselves, don't have really anyone to turn to, say, hey, is this a power company we use for our neighborhood? Things like that, if they're not aware of it. And again, it's that urgency and that fear that says that, if you get off the phone right now, your power is going to get shut off. So you have to pay this much money. And just like all these other scams, if you give them the gift cards, certificates, if you give them the wire transfer, if you give them any of that, they say, oh, it's not enough. You're still in the negative. We still need to keep getting that amount going up. So that's probably the second one we see a lot of is the power companies. We've even gotten some calls of people saying that people are actually coming out looking like they're in, polo and khaki pants, saying they're with the power company. We've only had a few of those. Mostly it's phone calls, but there's still kind of prevalence there. So again, it's just that urgency. And if you say, hey, can I call you back, or can I, check on this real quick? Again, they will just keep stressing your power's going to shut off if you hang up on me. So they want to keep you on the phone through the whole process. A lot of these scams they try to keep you on the phone through the entire thing, including driving to a store and getting the gift cards. They'll just say, hey, put me on mute or whatever, and they'll just stay with you the entire time to make sure that you're not deviating from what they want. I don't know any actual business or power company that's going to say, hey, no, you can't get off the phone with me, or hey, no, you can't call us back or sort this out. Every single one of those will pretty much give you that option. So those are some red flags we'll touch on, but the last one I think is the biggest one that I've seen here directly to Stafford is we have citizens that are reporting that they are getting in the mail letters from the Treasury office here in Stafford, from phone calls from supposed deputies or lieutenants at the sheriff's office, people actually, impersonating police officers, which is a crime,
Right.
saying that, you've missed your jury duty or you've missed something like this, and that you are an arrest warrant is out for you. If you don't pay this money, it'll be on your record. You'll have to come to court. You're going to get arrested. And all these kind of fears. Again, it's one of those scams that preys on your fear, saying that, if you hang up on me or if you do anything other than paying this, you're going to get arrested. Again, we've put out a lot of information out, and we've talked to a lot of people who have been affected by these scams. No law enforcement agency is going to send an arrest warrant out for you and say, no, you can play with iTunes gift cards. It sounds like it's a little bit common sense, but again, in the moment, when you have someone who you don't know for sure is a law enforcement agent saying you're about to get arrested, sometimes those red flags can kind of get a little bit, muffled and turned down because you're trying to deal with what is apparently a crisis on you. But it's a fabricated crisis, and that's what they're planning on. They're trying to get you scared, get you, to believe that they're a law enforcement agent. And just go with that way. And the fact that they say they're a Stafford deputy or a Stafford lieutenant, again, it makes you feel like, okay, this isn't just, someone saying I'm FBI or someone that's like, I live in Stafford. It must be, a little more credible. But I think they're just finding targeted numbers in Stafford and just calling those numbers. When it comes down to it, a lot of these scams are actually not even local. They're actually from globally. We've had scams where we've found out that the people calling are actually from East Africa, all over the place. So it's not even, here in Stafford that you're getting scammed from. A lot of these calls you might be getting are from across the country. You'll hear accents, you'll hear all sorts of things. So it's one of those things where we have a lot of these incidents in Stafford, but it's everywhere. Scams are all over the place. It's nationwide, it's global. And again, during this, day and time where everyone's isolated, it's just, that's where the uptick's been, because you can't turn to your friend or turn to your neighbor and, go across the street. You gotta be 6 feet apart, and everyone's kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that. So the disconnect we have kind of as a society going through the pandemic is where you're seeing so many of these scams coming up.
So what do people do? What do they do to protect themselves from becoming a victim of a scam?
So the number one is information. Every time we get a report, and I hate to say it, a lot of these scams that are actually even successful or even attempted don't get reported to the sheriff's office. So the number one thing to help is not just yourself, but the community is call us. Call the sheriff's office non-emergency number. Say, hey, I think I've been a victim of a scam. If someone calls you and you're not sure, like, oh, I think this might be a scam, I'm not sure. Even if they're stressing that if you hang up the phone, you'll get arrested or your power will be shut off. No, put them on hold. Ask to call back, say, hey, can I get a callback number? Write down the number that they're actually calling you from if it's not restricted or blocked. Get that information down and report it to us, because then I take those reports and I read them every single day. And I take a lot of the scams I see a lot of happening in the county, and I immediately push it out through all our social media, through our watch programs. We put it out there to give the information out. And the reason that's so important is because the more that everyone shares with the sheriff's office about these scams, the more information we have to give to everybody. Because the only way we're really going to beat these scams is until everyone in the community is just aware of them. They say, oh, nope, I know that. I've read about that. I know that scam. I know these red flags that, I'm pretty sure this is a scam. So the best way to help yourself is one, to let the sheriff's office know if it does happen, even if it's not even successful and they don't get any money from you. Just letting us know, say, hey, can I, call the non-emergency number, say, can I speak to a deputy? I just want to let you know that, I was called by this person who said they were from this company using this number. And that helps us immensely to help the community. I'd say the second thing is just to spread that information yourself. Talk to your family, talk to your friends. Again, I know with the pandemic and the COVID, we've been very disconnected, even from family and friends, but coworkers, if you're on the phone talking to a family member and they say, oh, I got a weird phone call the other day, talk to them about it. Say, hey, what kind of phone call was it? Just inform yourself and inform each other. Because again, it's all about spreading that information and that knowledge so that people are aware mentally that these scams are out there and what they're after. And that's the best way, I would say, to kind of prevent these things from happening.
Now, what if it's, I don't want to say too late, because I don't think it's ever too late for a lot of these things, but what if somebody becomes a victim or they think they might have been a victim of a scam? What is the first thing they should do?
The first thing, if someone is calling you and it is, again, power company, even a law enforcement agency, and you have any of these suspicions, in the back of your head, you're like, something just doesn't seem right, doesn't seem, on the level. Again, ask for, hey, can I call you back? Can I get a callback number? If they say, no, you can't do that, or they refuse to give you a callback number, again, it's just another level of that suspicion. So now you should be like, okay, this is really not on the up and up. Again, try to get that number down and then just get off the phone with them. Say, nope, I'm good. If you want to call me back, that's fine. But if you don't want to give me a number, no. As soon as you get off the phone, again, call the kind. So if they say they're from a power company, go online, find the official website for that power company or that law enforcement agency, call the number on there, the customer service number, make sure it's a proper site and it's a proper number, and call them and say, hey, I just got a call from claiming to be your business, your agency, and they told me this, and then verify what they tell you from the actual company. People will tell you all day, I work with such and such, and I take care of your finances. I take care of your unemployment checks. I take care of all these, things that are targeting these scams, but calling those numbers and making sure it's verified. If you happen to, it's a scam that goes through and they do get something from you, money cards, money packs, wire transfers, and they just happen to get on you, notify the sheriff's office. I cannot stress that enough. Don't feel just because, okay, I didn't think it was a scam. It seemed very urgent, seemed very, legitimate. I could have sworn this was my boss's email and he was, reaching out for help. There's no fault or blame at all. But the only thing you can do that would really hurt you the most is not reporting it. I think there's a lot of reports that don't get contacted and find their way to us. So I believe the best way is, if you fall victim of a scam, please call us. We research all this stuff. You give us the numbers, the names, especially the phone number that called you. We try to figure out where it's at. That's how we're finding out. Is it local? Is it from, somewhere else in the country? Is it from somewhere else in the, globe? All that, again, helps us not only to try and, be able to help you and get, your finances back, try to figure out how we can prevent it from the future, give you tips and suggestions. But again, it helps the community too. So anyone who has fallen victim to a scam, you reporting not only helps you, but it helps everyone. And that's why we can't stress enough, just letting us know, the sheriff's office, and informing us to help everyone.
So once they call the sheriff's office, what are some of the steps that the sheriff's office can take against these people who are conducting these scams?
So with the nature of the scams and how they are, we always do an investigation. We look into trying to, figure out where these numbers are coming from. Are they, a small group of people that are using this number to call everybody? Is it a spoof number? We look into all this stuff. We do a very, an investigation on each and every one to try and, determine who they are and obviously bring them to be accountable for their actions. As far as the crimes, it's a lot of our fraudulent crimes, everything from, obtaining money through false pretenses, all the way to, again, we have those scams that say, I'm deputy such and such, or I'm lieutenant such and such. That's literally impersonating a police officer, which is a very serious crime. So there's a wide range of crimes that we will charge them with. Again, it all comes down to, is it one person? Is it a group of people? A lot of these scams are multiple people that are just circulating numbers. I'm sure you've all gotten phone calls where it's like an automated message that says, oh, this is your vehicle warranty, or if you want to speak to agent, press 1. When you press those numbers, it actually, a lot of them will circulate and say, okay, this person has pressed the number instead of just hanging up on us. They might be more susceptible or more vulnerable for us calling. So usually those are much more large groups, not just one individual person. So we look into everything and try to figure out who they are, how many people they are, what they're doing criminally, how we can find them, how we can block these numbers or get them taken care of. And then another action we take is trying to help you. If you're, fall victim to a scam, we try to say, okay, give you advice. Like you need to contact your bank. You need to contact your finances. You need to, put yourself, if your identity was involved, where you handed out a social security number or you handed out any personal information from a financial side, we give you, recommendations and places to go to try and set up alerts to monitor your finances. So it's a very wide spectrum kind of, capabilities that we try to do. It just depends on the scam and where it goes and what happens, but it all starts with reporting. So.
Right. And the key is to not let it get that far and, listen to those messages from your neighbors who may have been suspicious that there's a scam going on, pay attention to the social media and other information on the sheriff's office website.
Yes. Staying informed is the number one deterrent. So for National Crime Victims' Rights Week, we are actually doing a few events. One, we're just getting information out there, which is the whole point of it. And scams is a big part of that. We're also doing domestic violence and a lot of other things we just want to let the public know about. One of the things we're doing is at Embry Mill here in Stafford. We're doing a candlelight vigil walk. It's going to be on April 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. And what we're going to do is we're going to put signs. We're going to set up some tents. Get a lot of the information out there to tell people about a lot of these crimes and how to obviously prevent them. And if you are a victim, what to do. We're going to put signs out that have a lot of those numbers. So if you come out for this, candlelight vigil walk, you'll walk down the pathway and you'll see a lot of these signs, and each ones will have information from, everything from the most common scams and what they look like down to what numbers you can call for assistance, what resources are out there. Again, it's just, information is the biggest thing to prevent these scams, to prevent these crimes, and getting that information out there is the number one thing. So for National Crime Victims' Rights Week, we felt that would be a great outlet to get this information out there to the community. So we hope everyone that can come out will come out, take a look, get that information down there. And for the people that can't come out, we're hoping that friends and family, neighbors will just reach out, say, hey, I was doing this, the sheriff's office had this, National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and we saw some really good information, and I just really want to tell you because I heard you had a phone call or you had something happen the other day, or your mother did, your father did. Just spread that information as best you can, and I think it'll be a good event to support that.
And again, all that information is available on the Stafford County Sheriff's website. And we ask our viewers to also check out social media because we will be pushing out messages during that week. And again, call us at any time if anybody's interested in getting more information about how to prevent becoming a victim of a scam. Deputy Curtis, that wraps up my questions. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, it's you tuning in and listening to these podcasts and staying informed. That really makes a difference. I think a lot of people really, don't think that is, but staying informed, like I've said over and over and over, is the number one thing. So thank you all for listening and checking in with us. And again, I look forward to talking to each and every one of you if you come out for National Crime Victims' Rights Week, because I will be out there. And if you have any questions, just come find me and say hi.
Well, once again, thank you, Deputy Curtis, for joining us on the podcast today. That wraps up this episode of In the Know with the Stafford SO. Thank you for tuning in. Have a safe and wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to In the Know with the Stafford SO. This podcast is produced by members of the Sheriff's Office and is one more way we connect with our community. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Visit our website at staffordsheriff.com for details about our social media channels as well as events where you can meet our staff. Thank you for your support.